An elementary look at internal evidence versus external evidence for a textual variant in Romans 5:1. Welcome back to Biblical Greek Tidbits. In this video, we look briefly at the broad topic of textual criticism with respect to internal versus external evidence for a textual variant. We'll first give a list of references used in preparing this video and then discuss the terms textual criticism, textual variant, internal evidence, and external evidence. Following this, we will look at a simple example from Romans 5:1. This is an example where there is strong external evidence for a particular variant, but because of the internal evidence, most scholars elect to choose the variant having weaker external evidence. Here's a list of references that I used in preparing this video. If you want to take a closer look, just pause the video. Here's a discussion of some text-critical terms used in this video. Textual criticism. Because the New Testament is an ancient document, published before the time of the printing press, it exists in many handwritten manuscripts, and since there is not complete agreement of wording among these manuscripts, textual critics must sort through their variant readings to reconstruct the original wording of the Greek New Testament. This process is called textual criticism. See page 9, reference 6 above. Textual variant, deliberate or inadvertent changes made by a copyist when copying a text. Textual apparatus, usually found at the bottom of each page of a critical text, showing the significant manuscript witnesses to the text with all their variants. See pages 55 through 61, reference 1 above for a more detailed discussion. Internal evidence, consideration of the habits of scribes and paleographical features in the manuscripts, and considerations of what the author was more likely to have written. See pages 12 through 14, reference 5 above, for an extensive discussion. External evidence, the evidence based on the date, character, and reliability of the documents themselves. See pages 13 through 23, reference 6 above, for an extensive discussion. The Greek of Romans 5:1 reads, "Δικαιωθέντες ουν εκ πίστεως ειρήνην έκαμεν προς τον Θεόν δια του Κυρίου ημών Ιησού Χριστού." Translation, therefore, since we have been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Note the symbol just before the word ekomen, which means we have in the indicative mood in the cited verse. This means to look at the textual apparatus, usually given at the bottom of the Greek text, for a variant of one or more words to replace the word ekomen. The variant given in the textual apparatus, see reference 1, is ekomen, let us have, subjunctive mood, hortatory sense. With this variant, the verse would read as follows: "Δικαιωθέντες ουν εκ πίστεως ειρήνην έκαμεν προς τον Θεόν δια του Κυρίου ημών Ιησού Χριστού." Translation, therefore, since we have been justified by faith, let us have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. See the New English Bible for a similar translation. The external evidence for ekomen in the subjunctive mood. According to the textual apparatus provided in the Greek New Testament, see reference 1 above, the subjunctive ekomen has far better external support than the indicative ekomen. The chief external evidence cited in reference 1 for the variant Eckermann includes 4th century Codex Sinaiticus, alternatively Codex Aleph, original reading which was later corrected. 5th century Codex Alexandrinus, alternatively Codex A. 4th century Codex Vaticanus, alternatively Codex B, original reading which was later corrected. 5th century Codex Ephraemi Rescriptus, alternatively Codex C. 6th century Codex Beza 06, alternatively Codex B-06. The external evidence for Eckermann in the indicative mood. According to the textual apparatus provided in the Greek New Testament, see reference 1 above, the chief external evidence cited in reference 1 for the variant Eckermann includes 4th century Codex Sinaiticus corrected, 4th century Codex Vaticanus, second corrector, 9th century Codex F, and 9th century Codex G. Now we take a look at the internal evidence. We quote from reference 5. Although the subjunctive Eckermann has far better external support than the indicative Eckermann, a majority of the committee judged that internal evidence must here take precedence, since in this passage it appears that Paul is not exhorting but stating facts. Peace is the possession of those who have been justified. Only the indicative is consonant with the apostle's argument. Since the difference in pronunciation between Omicron and Omega in the Hellenistic age was almost non-existent, when Paul dictated Eckermann, Tertius, his amanuensis, may have written down Eckermann. See page 452 of reference 5. We note that there are scholars who disagree on the internal evidence. For example, the New English Bible translates using the subjunctive. Do you think Paul is stating a fact of possession of peace, or exhorting the recipients of the letter that they should, now that they have been justified, practice peace toward God? We have looked very briefly at an example of the practice of textual criticism, particularly with regard to internal versus external evidence for variants found in the manuscripts of the Greek New Testament. As stated previously, there are scholars who read Romans 5:1 using the subjunctive Eckermann rather than the indicative Eckermann. It depends on what one thinks Paul is meaning here. Is he stating a fact, or is he exhorting the recipients of this letter? I would suggest that you read several good commentaries regarding this question, such as references 2, 3, and 4, along with your own prayerful study of this passage before deciding. The scholars who wrote the commentaries referred to in this video, references 2, 3, and 4, all agree with the indicative. As always, I defer to real scholars on all matters of biblical Greek. Thank you for watching.